Hi, everyone. I want to thank both of you for joining me today. As I mentioned during our pre-meeting with each of you, I am so concerned that there is tension and disagreement between both of you regarding Rachel's future college choice. During your last conversation with one another, you two argued over where Rachel will be going to college in the future, as well as the pros and the cons between NYU and ASU. No one wants disagreements here, as we should try to find a compromise, coming to a decision together, and creating a place of discussion where both of you can feel heard and appreciated is essential in maintaining your relationship with one another and finding Rachel's future college. So, we're here today to discuss the alternatives to solve this problem. It is important that all parties keep in mind to be respectful of one another and what each of you have to say. Before we begin, I would like to establish some ground rules. First, my role here today is that of an observer. In other words, you should talk with each other. Next, in my pre-meeting with each of you, we agreed that we would use this uninterrupted time to work together to solve the problem. We also agreed that no one would leave this session until we have come to a resolution to the issue. Now I think we are ready to begin the conversation. Whoever wants to begin may start.
Okay, well, I'll go first. I just want to start by saying I feel like my mother is not listening to me as usual, and she doesn't take into account my best interests. We have been going back and forth about my college decision. I feel like she wants me to stay close at home. She's not thinking about the benefits of NYU for my career. She's only thinking about herself and how she wants me to go to ASU. So that's how I feel.
Rachel, as always, I'm only looking out for you and would like to see you succeed in life. As you know, growing up, I was not given the opportunities in life like you have right in front of you. I'm not trying to deter you from attending your newly found dream school, but feel that you don't understand the burden that college debt brings to your life, especially when it's an impulsive decision.
Okay, and here's a prime example. I do not feel like it's fair to call it an impulsive decision. Just because I most recently decided that I would like to go to NYU doesn't mean that I have not been thinking about it for a long time. I've spent weeks doing research, and I've attended multiple college fairs and events to help me make this decision. I also do not feel like it's right to hold tuition over my head, forcing me to go to ASU. I've looked into college scholarships, grants, and any other way that I can financially support myself so that I don't end up with a lot of debt after college. But trying to pigeonhole me into going to ASU by withholding tuition, I don't think is fair.
While it might not seem fair to you, I think it's important to understand why I will only pay for ASU. You know you're a resident, and when you're a resident, you're already paying a significant lower amount than any out-of-state college. And I find it highly disrespectful that you ask me to pay for NYU, knowing what I do for a living, knowing I clean houses to support you. I've always supported and provided for you within my means.
So, Rachel, what I'm hearing is you felt ignored in your discussion with your mother when talking about your future college. And it is important to you to feel heard and that your wants are also being considered.
Yeah.
So, Amy, you felt disrespected as a mother, and it is important to you that Rachel recognizes that and considers your feelings of her being far from home if she chooses NYU.
I feel that Rachel dismissed me when I tried to give her advice. Rather than listen to my advice, she assumed I was controlling her decision on where to attend college. That was not the case. While yes, it would be nice for you to be closer to home, Rachel, I know it's important to learn and grow on your own merit. So I just felt hurt by your assumptions.
Okay. I just don't feel like you are listening, Mom, and I feel like this is a huge waste of time. You're not going to change your mind, and you don't really care what I think. And we've had this argument for quite some time, and I don't feel like we're making any progress. So I think I'm just going to go.
Okay. Okay, let's remember that we agreed that we would work on this together and not leave the session. Rachel, can you rephrase your concern?
Okay, I'll stay. I guess the only way I can rephrase it is that I really wanted my mom's support on this major life decision. And I don't feel like you support me, Mom. I feel like you only support me if I choose to go to ASU, but that's your vision of my future, not what I think is best.
Rachel, I didn't mean to come off as abrasive, so I'm sorry if I made you feel like your decisions were not acknowledged, or you did not feel supported. My intentions are always for your best interest as your parent. Clearly, this is an intent versus impact situation, so I apologize.
Amy, you say that you are sorry. Can you tell Rachel more about that?
I can understand how Rachel feels, like I'm not supporting her decision to attend NYU. Regardless of my ability to not fund her, I believe we can move forward. I think we can sit down and come up with a plan to fund her college tuition if this is truly the place she wants to go. While I may not be able to financially pay for it, I'm more than willing to sit down, do research together to help her find resources for her to be able to successfully get into and pay for New York NYU if that's where she really wants to go.
I appreciate you saying that. And I'm also sorry. I didn't take into consideration that it might be hard for you to have, your only child moving all the way across the country. I was just thinking about what would be better for me and ultimately better for us because NYU would be much more of, I think, a career starter than ASU for me in this field. And I think that I would be able to take care of both of us better, because you've taken care of me for so long. And I think it comes down to that I do want you involved in this process and I do want your input in my life.
Okay, so let's recap on what we have agreed on and go over some specifics that were recently mentioned in our mediation. Amy, you agreed to consider Rachel's feelings in the decision of her future college and to not make any threats relating to not helping fund her education or any other threats that may be an obstacle in her decision of choosing whether NYU or ASU. Rachel, you agreed to consider how your mom might be feeling with you leaving home and that this is hard for her to not only talk about, but also to have you move across the country. And as a parent, she has explained to you why that might be hard for her. Instead of you both agree to have this discussion together instead of apart when the time comes to make the decision by weighing the pros and the cons, and not only weighing the pros and the cons, but also respecting each other and what each other has to say while doing so, which is very, very important. So before we conclude this meeting, I'm glad we've had a productive discussion and mediation between what is the conflict that we're holding. I want to ask both of you a question. What if something we agreed on today does not take place? What are we going to do? Are we going to, go back to our old ways of having butting heads and having a heated discussion, or are we going to have a more productive discussion like we did today?
I would like Rachel to feel comfortable to come to me with open conversations when there's animosity in our relationship or disagreements in the future. At the end of the day, I'm really proud of you, Rachel.
It feels really good to hear you say that. If what we discussed today doesn't happen, then I will make sure that I go out of my way to come and engage you if I feel like you're disengaged and make sure that we're not miscommunicating because I think that was a big part of the problem. I'll make sure that I keep you involved in my thoughts during this process and make the decision that's best for both of us instead of making the decision that's best for just me.
I'm glad that we have come to a solution to our problem here today. I wanted to ask, do you, Rachel, and do you, Amy, feel as if you have accomplished something today in terms of the growth of your relationship? Let's start with you, Rachel.
I do. I feel like, we've made a huge step forward in our relationship because as opposed to me being, you know, like her little girl and living in her house and all that stuff. I think, you know, we're making a step forward to where I'm transitioning into adulthood, and, you know, she's going to support me as my mother, but it's going to become a different type of relationship. And I think it was really, you know, important to let each other know, you know, that we love each other and that we want what's best for both of us.
What do you think, Amy?
I really appreciate you saying that, Rachel. It goes to show that, you know, you are thinking about your decisions and how they impact other people. And I have no doubt that you'll succeed in any college you wish to go to.
I'm glad that we've gotten to a place where we can see the growth in your relationship between mother and daughter, so that's really good. I wanted to thank both of you again for taking the time to resolve this problem. I will plan to follow up with each of you on April 30th, so a week from today, just to see if there's any other underlying issues or if everything's going okay. I just want you both to know that I am here for both of you if you need to reach out. I wanted to thank you again for your participation in this session, and that I hope moving forward that you can take some skills and some practices from this mediation session with you if any other future issues arise. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you too.